Next up on the agenda is the DNNcon, and it's a very exciting time over the weekend. It was down in West Palm Beach, Florida. Um, Jim and I have been to the DNN cons of the various conventions. They're not always called DNNcon or hadn't always been called DNNcon, but we've been doing that for the past 5 years. So Sprocket has been represented, and this year both of us, because of his family situation and my family situation, we had various things going on that kept us away, which is unfortunate. But hey, Chicago was represented by Scott and Phil. In fact, I got to share this with you guys. Because Chicago is represented in a big way. Check this out. Here is the title on YouTube, says it all. Scott Wilkinson gets MVP at DNNcon 2014. Congratulations, Scott, being MVP for DNN. The video, if you watch the video, it will basically show that Joe Brinkman announced and then waited and looked for Scott, but he was already trying to put his presentation together because he had a session right after the break where they did the MVPs. So congratulations! You see his picture up there, and they had him. They had called him in, but unfortunately he wasn't there. So we want to give him a chance to give his acceptance speech right here on Chicago DNN's podcast and the broadcast that we've got here, and let him say what he would have said, waved and all that when he got in there to the office when he got his name called up there. So congratulations, Scott.
Well, thanks. Yeah, like you said, I was trying to get ready for my session, but thankfully my colleague James McKee, who took this real bad video from his phone, at least I got something to see.
Yeah, definitely.
I wasn't expecting it. I don't, but I'm thankful for it. So I look forward to meeting with the MVPs. I think the first meeting's supposed to be tomorrow. There's a monthly MVP meeting, and I have access to the exclusive MVP private forum and all sorts of good stuff. So I think it's going to be advantageous to both my company, to kind of have this insider view as what's going on, but also to, our user group as well. Not that I can share things that if people say it's private or not ready for public consumption, I won't. But certainly there's not a whole lot of private things. I mean, they're pretty transparent about what we're doing in the open source community. So, but I think still I'm happy to get recognition and to be part of it.
Well, yeah, fantastic, and congratulations. There's a lot of stuff that you do. I believe most of the people that meet with us, or for that matter, may watch this. Some of them may not know all of the video contribution that you do with DNN Hero, putting in videos out there. There's also I just did DNNcon 2014 to see, your video is there, but if you'll notice, there's a number of videos that are on YouTube that you did on DNN module development. There's lots of contributions, so we all appreciate you and your contributions. So speaking of which, since you guys were down there and enjoyed the West Palm Beach weather, and of course now you came back to 27-degree Chicago weather, but I'll give you an opportunity. I'll switch my presentation mode so that you take over the screen with your computer, and you can share a couple of pictures and a couple of memories of the DNNcon over the weekend. Let's click here and then there, and there you go.
Yeah, and one of the things they did mention at DNNcon is they are trying to get more away from the siloed and kind of the hidden things that are going on. So hopefully that will be better going forward.
Very good news. Thanks, Phil. Yeah. Hey, speaking of Phil, if you guys see, I see.
You can see the screen.
Yep, I'm seeing your screen, and I see Phil there, second from the left, and then
Yeah,
Tony's standing there looking like he just left the set of some action hero movie.
he's looking good. I tell you, you got to update that picture we have on your slideshow there. Look at that.
Yes, indeed. Well,
And
I mean,
Paul Scarlett there as well.
he's slimming down his business as well. Manage.com is now you
Hmm.
grabbed all these various brands that he had and pull it all into one. So I guess it's a work-life balance thing going on for him.
Right. Yeah, we had a booth there. Boo both did. It was we trying to fit three brands into one booth. Our Bravo Squared Enterprise DNN products, Pack Flash, of course, and Blue Bolt as well. This is Aaron trying to get his brand new monitor that he had shipped down directly there to work. And the vendor area, me probably trying to talk to some people. It was crazy in the morning. I did a session on customizing your DNN search, which we'll talk about in a little while. I had to do the vendor thanks speech at the wrap up, and yeah, I guess it's not a surprise. I was hoping to surprise you guys, but I guess you guys already found out. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing from DNNcon and was I think Joe Brinkman's speech on what was happening for 7.5 and for 8, even a little bit of preview of 8. At 7.5 is going to be Q1, probably end of Q1 next year, where they are going to support MVC and in some form or fashion, and probably a hybrid approach like in Sitefinity. And in 8, the big news is that 8 will be MVC, but it will be a complete ground up, only MVC in other words. So it will be a complete a departure, I guess. It will be what he called a breaking change, to take the opportunity to do a full house cleaning of the platform and only support MVC. So that's interesting and exciting.
I saw some of his slides, although I had been hunting for a recording of his speech. But I saw the slides, and there was a slide that he had. I'm guessing he's labeling it or calling 8 DNN Next.
Yeah. So actually,
I guess that's the kind of the code word for it.
Yeah, actually, in the note that I sent you guys, the roadmap is now being maintained online by Oliver Hines, who we know from Engage Software in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And it does list 7.4, 7.5, and 8. 7.4 being one of the big things is they're finally eliminating all the Telerik controls, including the text editor completely. And then 7.5 is the switch to MVC, and then 8 is kind of the rewrite with they're basically taking the UI, the administration UI that's in DNN Social, and they're backporting it to DNN platform and to Evo content. So yeah, and in terms of kind of from the ground up, I didn't go to the session, but one of the sessions that they did tape that's supposed to be online in a couple weeks, which is also in my list, is that Charles Nurse spoke about Project Maverick, and Project Maverick is kind of their potential way to try to do MVC without breaking the web form stuff that I guess people have done with extensions. So I think to Scott's point, I think from DNN's perspective, it's a rewrite of all the core APIs and stuff. But I believe if they can make that Project Maverick stuff work, then potentially they hold out hope for the module developers that I guess their stuff that's not MVC will still work. At least that's my understanding of it. But that video is supposed to be online in a couple weeks. I'm assuming on the DNN platform site.
So you made a good
DNN
point there about
and DNN
module.
software, yeah.
You made a point about modules compatibility, so I wanted to go over that again, because that as a non-programmer, at least non-DNN environment programmer, But a DNN integrator, my first thought is a new platform. Does that mean that the modules that are out there today are going to continue to work, or does it mean that all the main modules need to be rewritten and we'll have to wait on those contributors to provide them? And you're thinking that this platform is going to keep those compatible?
Well, my understanding is, and I only did something for like 10 minutes. I looked into it on Project Maverick, but my understanding is it's kind of a hybrid type approach, which lets them do MVC but not break the web forms, the legacy stuff, so that the idea is, I think, so they can move the platform forward, but they allow time for the module vendors to transition to MVC and not have their stuff break. I don't know if that's the way you understand it, Scott, but that's at least the impression that I get. If they can't make that work, since that's, I think, more of a POC kind of thing for them, then I'm not sure if their 8.0 is then a breaking change. I would think the ecosystem is so big that that would be kind of alarming to any of the third-party vendors. And I believe also originally 8.0, what they were calling 8.0, was going to originally come out this year in 2014. And now I think if you look at the roadmap, it's, I think, at least third quarter, if not fourth quarter of 2015. So, so I think they definitely had to pause on that and say that if they're going to do something that substantial, they probably weren't ready for it.
Right. Yeah, that's my understanding too. 7.5 will be a hybrid model, MVC and web form support. And I think the idea is to have that out there for at least enough time for some people to get on board with converting their modules to MVC. 8.0 would be a breaking change where it would be only MVC support, and you would have 7.5 still being supported for as long as it takes. And but I mean, we're already gearing up to be ready for the MVC approach, so that we're our stuff is going to be working with the future editions.
Yeah, and I actually found that kind of odd because there were a number of presentations that I think Daniel Metler's in particular that I went to that kind of questioned the traction that ASP.NET MVC was getting. I think he was promoting basically the whole Razor slash web API approach versus the ASP.NET MVC approach. So I think the Razor stuff is still compatible with the ASP.NET MVC approach, but it sounds like he was basically saying that the web API and the Razor seems to have won over the ASP.NET MVC approach. So it's kind of interesting to see kind of the different spins that people are taking on stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, they're basically trying to detach themselves from web forms, but do it in such a way that they don't break the entire ecosystem. So I think it's definitely going to be a bit of a challenge for them to do that, but
Well, thanks very much for the recap. The weather I noticed, I certainly didn't experience, but I noticed looked reasonable there. And then of course the downtown action, both the reception and the after dark seem to be good. So there's a lot of fellowship among the folks that were there. I noticed a number of tweets where they're kicking around, or maybe they're just giving Cassidy some grief. They're saying that that to have a DNNcon in Colorado, was there some buzz about that?
there was some talk about that because
I never heard anything.
Yeah, so I talked to some of the 10-pound gorilla folks, and they basically did say they were potentially interested in doing one in Colorado. And I think they were looking at more like a ski season type thing where, maybe like a spring skiing type thing where they could get people to come out at that time of year. But I don't know how how serious they actually were with it in terms of, I don't think anybody said that it was absolutely going to happen.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, I just saw a couple of tweets and it sounded more like a ribbing, if nothing, not much more than that. But going out there for skiing, that'd be right up your street, Phil.
I would be very glad to go out there in March.
Yeah.
I will be going out there in March, but probably not for DNNcon. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Since you've got the control there, Scott, do you want to jump into highlights of the session that you've provided the DNNcon folks and